Hello, thank you all for coming. My name is Jennifer Remenchik, and I am a member of the exhibitions team here at the Brand and creator and moderator of Art Talks at Brand, an initiative in which contemporary artists from the Glendale and greater Los Angeles area are invited to discuss their work and the issues that surround it, followed by a discussion with myself and a public Q&A. This program is free and open to the public. I would like to take a moment to thank the Brand Associates for their generous support of this program. Edgar Bryan is a Los Angeles-based artist focused primarily on painting and artist bookmaking. He has a decades-long track record of showing his work in prestigious galleries and museums across various cities such as New York, Los Angeles, and Berlin. In his 30-year artistic journey, Bryan continually works to renew and redefine his connection with painting. Through extensive experimentation with diverse techniques, themes, and materials, he has discovered an enduring significance in the medium. Themes such as masculine vulnerability, the embodiment of the fool from Commedia dell'arte, and self-portraiture have remained constant throughout his practice. He firmly believes in the power of vulnerability in art and actively expresses it through his choice of imagery, medium, and technique. Bryan's studio is a haven for experimentation, producing numerous studies and exploring new materials and techniques for each body of work. Beyond painting, he has ventured into creating handmade artist books, ceramic collaborations, and silkscreened posters. So please join me in welcoming Edgar Bryan. Yes.
All right, thanks. Hi, thanks for coming.
Can you make it a little louder?
Is it a speaker? Hello? Is that?
A little louder.
No, we can do that.
They're working on it. Okay. I'm Edgar. Let's see. I just threw together some slides starting kind of in grad school. I guess I'll just improvise. Is that louder?
Well, put the lectern.
Oh, is that good? That sounds like it. Okay. All right. I started off painting sort of photorealism, I guess you could say. This is back in the 90s. I've noticed that photorealism is kind of coming back right now. Have you guys noticed that? Yeah. Yeah, okay. Thanks for participating. Let's see. I made a collaboration around that time with another artist. Made these paintings. We were talking on the phone to each other. These are the photos. It's like a film camera, I guess. Let's see. Can I zoom in? No. What can I tell you about them? The painting on the right, the sort of Afghan behind her was like extruded paint, like from a cake decorator. And I remember we put that book on her lap in 3D space in Photoshop, and this was like 99 or 2000. It felt like that was less common then. I made these paintings of mimes. I'm kind of jumping ahead a year or two. Let me see. I made these paintings of mimes. They were kind of large scale. And I think I was kind of thinking, if I remember correctly, I found a book of mimes in a bookstore, the Brand, I think it was called the Brand bookstore. Yeah, on Brand. And it was like a used bookstore. And I think I connected with them kind of because I like the idea of painting other like artists, and I had sort of had this little career as an artist out of grad school, and then it felt like it had died already. And so, well, like these paintings, this was in grad school, and like this guy from this big gallery, Gagosian, came and took them and put them in the gallery and invited me down there, and I went down there, and then he was like, let's do a show, and I said no, because it wasn't like it is now. Gagosian wasn't sort of what it was. Anyway, so I had this little career out of grad school, then it felt like it kind of died, and the mime paintings sort of spoke to me at that moment. The mimes, like they're this pathetic artist, sort of that nobody likes. And that's how I felt. And so, you know, they weren't mimes in a room. That was the fun part, is I drew the room in Photoshop, I think, around. I put them in the room. Of course, this is Watteau, and this is like Commedia dell'arte. It's just an example of something similar to me. That's Pierrot, one of the archetypes in Commedia dell'arte. He played the fool. I made some notes, but I don't know how to see them on this screen. But you know what? It doesn't matter. Okay. This picture's for scale. They were pretty big. It was kind of a really big deal at the moment because it was really funny because I made these paintings. No one cared what I was doing. I mean, it was probably only a year, but it really felt like a lifetime of like rejection. And then this guy, Russell, came to my studio and put these paintings in this big show. And these paintings were hanging next to this artist, Gerhard Richter. And I was like, I'm back, baby. At the same time, I made this painting, like literally in the same couple of weeks or months. They're so different though, because these are painted on gessoed, these are on smooth surfaces, and they're from a photo. And this is literally on raw canvas. I was staining the canvas, they couldn't have been more different paintings, like the way you had to do it. And I drew the picture, and I remember drawing this self-portrait. I'd never done anything like that before, and I remember as I was making the painting, I was like genuinely scared. I felt like this is so bad. And it just felt wrong to me, but I felt like I gotta just try it, you know, something about it. And so I finished the painting. I wish I had when I initially finished the painting, the tree was like 8 inches tall. The idea was I was painting this really sad little tree, but the painting felt sort of unsatisfying and too sentimental and cute. And so I felt like, well, I have nothing to lose with this painting. I'm probably going to throw it away. So I'll just put these branches like sort of taking over, and then it really came to life. Then I liked it. And it came from this painting because I had been to Europe, and I think this is in the Thyssen, is that what it's called, museum in Madrid. It's an Otto Dix painting, and I thought it was pretty cool. And that's why I tried to do the drawing, the painting with this painting. Anyway, so this was also put in that same show, and this was hung next to Fearful Porter. It was really crazy, and it was like I had a painting next to Fearful Porter, I had a painting next to Gerhard Richter, and I did not take any installation shots. It wasn't like today where you just take pictures all day long, you know. This painting was of, I think that I was married and she was having a child. We were having a child. I made a few paintings of like, I don't know, motherhood. I only got 8. So I showed this painting in Venice, Italy. There's this little gallery there. And that's why I put this column, this Roman or Greek column. which I did more of after that. But I was at the opening, and there's these really nice people, and I referred to this as a certain, I don't know, like Doric column or something, and they corrected me like I was, like, it wasn't cool that I said the wrong column style in Italy. This is still the only painting I've ever seen of a baby Bjorn. So anyway, so these are all these, after that painting that I did on the raw canvas where I was drawing instead of using photography, I started doing that more because I liked it for a while, staining the canvas and then sealing it and then painting oil paint on it afterwards. I made a million paintings like that. I'm only showing you a few. I made all these record paintings. I kind of thought of them like they were my abstract paintings, like they were meaningless and not in a good way, and or they weren't burdened with interpretation. And it was just about color. It was so great to just have this theme. And I didn't have to think about what's happening in the painting. It's just like an arrangement of these discs on the floor with some thick paint. I think I made like 16 of those. They all have really different character. It's just color. The color really changes their feeling. That one I really like. It's fun to look back at them. This is another painting on gessoed canvas. I had been in Berlin for a while, and I was just really into like all the buildings crumbling and all the murals crumbling, and so I like made up a fictitious one. I think this is like 10 years later, I don't know, kind of jumping around. This one really should be, this is like an ode to this other painter. It's basically a drawing of her, and it's painted like her paintings are painted. These are two different paintings of a harp. I'm just looking at them. This one's better. This is on gesso. It's really smooth gesso, and then, I don't know, acrylic, and then some thick oil paint. Really fun to make, and then I would return to the harp theme like 8 years later. Boy, I'm really jumping around. Okay, these are these silkscreened paintings. These are made on panel, which is the first time I ever painted on a panel, but it's like a really smooth gessoed panel. And in Photoshop, I'd build this image. The idea was that they were book covers, like torn out of a book. Of course, they weren't really. And this chapter of this book was called The Expanding Universe, I guess. And it was just fun to construct this magnified area of this sort of infinite space of this like op art image. What's really, I was looking at it today trying to figure out what I really liked about it, and it doesn't make any sense. There's a shadow under the, what's it called? The magnifying glass, but then inside the magnifying glass, it's not casting a shadow, but then the reflection of light's casting a shadow. So that just doesn't make any sense.
What part is silkscreen?
All the black and the gray. So like the black op art and the part in the middle that's op art, that was just all one screen. And then the medium gray color was another silk screen. And then the magnifying glass obviously is just hand painted. The shadows hand painted, you can see it's pretty painterly. And the reflections hand painted. This is the exact same thing, except this time I put the shadow inside the magnifying glass, but then the reflection still has a shadow.
What year is this?
I think it's like 2017. It's another fictitious book on artificial intelligence. Maybe that was a real book. I don't know. I like the way the face is distorted inside the magnifying glass. Also silkscreen.
How large are these paintings?
These are small. They're like that. Small for me. I work a lot larger usually. Let's see. Like that's like 5.5 feet tall. That's more my average. Oh. I was just running with it now. These are cool. I don't know what they're about. This is like a really big painting. This is like 8 feet tall. I was collecting unemployment because I was teaching, and then I stopped teaching and realized if it's like summer break, you can apply for unemployment. This was fun because I was just replicating. Photoshop has all these brushes that do this kind of pattern, and I was just replicating it with a sponge. He's like doing a selfie. Very tiny painting, which I almost never make. It's like 10 inches tall. It's pretty good. Some books. I've made a bunch of books. I just threw some in. These are monoprint books. These are, it's like the thick fabric on the cover that's glued to the cover. That's what I used to print inside the book. And then I went back and glued them on the cover. And it's like Japanese paper, and it's just totally handmade. I made some t-shirts like this too. This is another collaboration with my friend Scott. We would send we were using like this app where you could put text on a photo on your phone, and we were just sending these really stupid. We had this idea, we were going to do this thing called LA ashtrays. And the idea was it was ceramic ashtrays, but that we didn't know if we would ever make the ashtrays. We would just make the posters for it. We ended up doing both, actually. So we were like sending back and forth these poster ideas. This is really recently, so I'm really jumping around. I'm going to go back earlier times in a minute, but this is related to the books. This are these this edition of, I have this like book imprint called Yes and No Books, and we did a couple of editions that I'm going to show you for the last art book fair, which was like 1.5 years ago. I don't know why they haven't done another one in LA. And one of the editions was this with this ceramic artist, Peter Shire, and he wanted to sell mugs at the book fair, and I said, well, we had to kind of make it look like a book. So we made these. It's really fun, actually. We made these, silkscreened these boxes that he painted the design, and I made this book that was all his eBay. His idea was to make a book about all of his eBay sales, and then I trying to tie it in with the mug, so I put cork. The cover was cork, so it could be like a coaster. They're really cute, and then we silkscreened like a mug, like a circle from if you set a coffee mug down. These are for sale in the lobby. I'm just kidding. Did this thing with this other artist, Mungo. He's sitting here now. I'll skip ahead. So he makes these bronzes. These are sculptures called Snowman, and they're made of bronze, and they're like obviously super realistic. And his fabricator, for I think to do the finish, to make it look like cardboard, had made this book of cardboard samples of different cardboards, and it was numbered carefully. Where is it? Yeah, to show which pieces of cardboard were made for which sculpture. And it's a beautiful book. So for an edition, we just exactly replicated that binder 30 times. The hardest part was finding cardboards that matched the cardboards in the binder, because some of them were faded from sunlight, and some of them, there's just like 3 different colors of cardboard apparently, is what I think I discovered. The funnest part was that a lot of it was shopping at Office Depot. I made these oil paintings of like these punk jackets. I kind of like them. I don't know, but they led to this this painting. And this was like an interesting journey making this painting, because I painted it. This artist, anyone know this artist's name?
Mendelssohn.
Yeah, Mendelssohn something, right?
Paula Mendelssohn. I can't remember.
There's some other name on the end, but that's amazing that you know that much. She was all the rage on Instagram for like 30 seconds, like 5 years ago when I was making this painting. And so I tried to use this face on it. It just felt too heavy and like burdened with academic painting. And so I was looking at Matisse, like I'm always looking at Matisse forever. And I took a sort of Matisse style, and it lightened up the painting and felt right. But to get it, just to nail the drawing of the face, I kept having to wipe it off with acetone and start over, go all the way back to white, which is something that Matisse did a lot, actually. So there's a lot of white between his marks, and he did that on purpose because it makes the painting look brighter.
It's Paula Mendelssohn Becker.
Thank you. It's incredible that you know that. See, it's like exactly that. This was at Richard Tejas Gallery. I think he closed right after this. That's what happens when they show my paintings. I threw this out, but I kind of like it now. All right, so I made these piano paintings. What can I say about them? There's like this format that they're all the same. They're an upright piano with sheet music, and I write the music, or my son wrote one of them. An arm's coming out of them, playing the notes. There's a vase that's fallen over because the arm's coming out. And then on the piano stool, there's always a book and like a tomato can with brushes. It's like this complete format. And I love having this format that I just work inside to make paintings. I could just stop thinking. This was the first one. And this one, I recorded this song, and when I showed it at this place, La Loma Projects, you could hear the music coming out from behind the painting. This painting, it feels like such a non sequitur for me in a way, in terms of the way it's painted and drawn. But the thing I was going for, which is just my own personal hobby that's kind of irrelevant to the painting really, is the shell on the dress, her hair braid. That's all allusions to to fractals, which are in some music. This is an example. I don't know if you can tell, but it's like there are these little cells, and then they expand, and then as they expand, they get more notes between each note. So it's like a little section of 3 notes is contained in a huge section of like 20 notes. It's the same. So there's fractals in music, and I was just like alluding to those with the shell and the braid. This was this was a watercolor for a invitation for a show of the piano paintings in New York. So I made this show that no one saw. Well, like 15 people saw, half of which are in this room right now, called Cafe Opera, and there's 4 big paintings and then these little studies.
This is Philip Martin?
Yeah.
Was that because of COVID?
Yeah, it was June of 2020. I'm not saying anyone would have come, even in the best of times. Obviously music themed. It's called Cafe Opera, which is a place. I was reading these books, and it's by this Norwegian guy, and he went to some place called, like a cafe called Cafe Opera. What can I say about them? I mean, this is a really good painting by anyone's standards. I'm just kidding, but I do love it. Okay. These paintings, as you can see, it has that format of like the arm coming out, the music that I wrote, the vase that fell over. It's so dumb. The book, the tomato can. This painting is called Bucatini Fugue. The music on the sheet music is like a fugue that I wrote, which I'm not qualified to write, but you know. And Bucatini obviously is a kind of pasta, and I was trying to make it like pasta-like the branches of the plant are pasta-like. The posters on the wall, there's a guy eating pasta. The book is a Chez Panisse pasta book by Alice Waters. It's like a pasta can. It's pasta painting, what can I say? But the color's really on point, I have to say. Let's see. This was an earlier version. Like you can tell, this was a photograph of the painting. Like you can tell because up in the top right, that little picture is from the actual painting. And I was still working on the color, and this is sort of one way I do it is bring it back into Photoshop and figure out colors there and do all these different color For me, color is the only reason to make a painting. It's like the motor that makes the painting work. This is called it's called the Opera Unpopulaire, which is a reference to the Opera Populaire, which is a fictitious opera house in Paris in the Phantom of the Opera. This painting has yarn. And I thought of the frogs as like when the opera singer's voice cracks. Obviously as like a mistake, like she's messed up. So it's, God, this is good. This painting is really well made. Like the way it's painted with flash paint in the background. So it's really matte, but you also see every stroke. And then the washiness of like the harp itself. Do I have a better painting of no, I don't. Is really satisfying to me. Let's see. I just really like this show. I feel like this was a high watermark for me, personally. This painting, which was in the show, is called Quodlibet, which is a Baroque musical kind of game. Where someone would sing a tune and then someone else would start singing a different tune, but maybe it had the same meter, and so they would try to make the songs work as one. And I wrote a quadlibet in this. This has a quadlibet, and it's like, in the left hand is a piece by Bach, and in the right hand is "This Land Is Your Land." Okay. The way the piano's, like these decorative elements of the piano, and even my elbow there, and some of the fingers and the colors were inspired by the Madonna Inn. I stayed in this room called the California Poppy Room, and it had those details. The skull was interesting because I painted it like this. It's kind of like that portrait of the girl with the jacket. It just felt heavy and art historical. So I kind of had to bring it back to white, which is pretty hard to do. And then try to mostly leave the white, just to make it feel light, and you kind of keep your eye moving around the painting. I thought of this painting as like, when you go in the opera house, there's like either a chandelier or an extra oversized floral arrangement is like the celebratory like centerpiece for the event. This is also painted a little differently than I paint. Like I painted the background first, and then I had to wait like 2 weeks for it to dry, and then I painted where the flowers would go, I painted that white so the paint would be really bright when I painted the flowers. This was not in the show. This one's about spaghetti too, a little bit. What can I say? This is like the dumbest body of work I've ever made, but I really like it. That's 30 minutes. I'm going to wrap it up in a minute. My son wrote the music for this. It's called Spaghetti Scherzo. There's this great artist book by Matisse right there called Jazz. And this is a pasta dish and a menu from this restaurant called La Pergoletta that I really used to like. It's just a chain, but I just liked it. This is the music. I just found this photo. I kind of like it. Just music and paintings is cool. Okay. This one, I was thinking of the color like a children's toys, like a children's blocks. You know, they just have primary colors on each side. So I was trying to make a painting that felt kind of like that. This is early in the painting. Like sometimes you just got to get something on there, you know, so it's not white. I made a bunch of drawings. They're all like, it really looks like I had this Juan Gris book open, which I think I did. Just like ripping off this great Cubist painter the whole time. I made these paintings of men with saddles on their back. No explanation is needed. There was a lot going on in my head at this moment, and one of them was Magritte. You know, people think of Magritte as a surrealist, but I read a book about him around this time, and he's not a surrealist. He didn't even believe in the unconscious. He read mystery novels, and he was just trying to paint mystery itself. So I like that about him. Richard Prince. I saw this nurse painting show in New York a long time ago, and definitely left an impression on me. And I just like that he like reanimates. There's like these novels, these like dirty paperbacks about nurses, and he took a bunch of them and printed them on canvas and then painted on top of them. They're sort of like hard to interpret, which I like, and they're abject. They were already abject, and he reanimated their abjectness or something, and I just like that. This is Botero. This is all what's swirling around in my head at this moment. That's why I'm showing you these things. I didn't know. I always loved Botero. He's like this super cheesy figurative painter who also made these monumental bronzes. But I always just really like them. I'm really cheesy. I like these really dumb, sentimental things, like Botero and Phantom of the Opera. And but then I discovered that he made these Abu Ghraib paintings of when the American military tortured all these people and humiliated them, and it really felt like, oh yeah, I knew he was legit. This too, I don't know why. Somehow those led to this. This really feels like a Magritte to me. Reminds me of this Whistler. Give you a sense of scale. Then at some point I was like, oh yeah, these are like this Maxell tape ad from the 80s. There was like this awesome advertisement on TV where this guy comes and offers him a martini, and he's like just sitting in front of his sound system, and it's blasting him. So that's what's happening. They're getting blasted by the art. Or something, I don't know. Made sense to me. There's a Magritte for some reason. And then I was like, these are like a pure Americana, like these like BMX helmets. Oh, this is, I got it, yes. This is lifted directly from this performance by Charles Ray, like I just traced it. BMX. This I really like a lot. All the paint on his whatever he's wearing. And the McDonald's. I did research. I went to McDonald's to make this painting, and I ordered 2 sets. So I was like, well, I'm gonna want to eat it, so I'll get a second set to eat. Guess what? I ate both. You can see how it's painted. I was going to town. These are so stupid. I'm sorry that you came. Give you a sense of scale. That's a very unflattering photo of me. In case you didn't pick up on the sexual tension, I made it real clear. Sense of scale. I threw this one away, but I wish I didn't. This one, so now I'm at the end now. There's like 4 or 5 random things I've made recently. This one I used cell vinyl black for the hole. He's like, that's a fugue on the page, it's a Bach fugue. Anyway, he's like, the space he's looking into is made, so it's an oil painting, but that space is made with this super matte black that doesn't reflect light very much at all.
Wait, this is recent? A new one?
Yeah, last couple of years. I mean, recent for me, I've been working a little slower lately. This is a trompe l'oeil painting. I thought I would try a trompe l'oeil painting. I made a few random. There's another trompe l'oeil painting. It's for scale. I painted this as a gift for my daughter, who's obsessed with Gilmore Girls. It's really good though. Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know. I have to do some research on that. This is just straight off of the box of Catan. That's it. Oh.
Thank you for your lecture, Edgar.
Thanks for inviting me.
It's funny when you brought up the Nurse by Richard Prince, because I had written in my notes, in a weird way, I started thinking about Richard Prince's joke paintings, like during your because I mean. Well, and also I guess I want to talk a little bit about humor in your work, because like you're funny, your delivery is funny, the paintings are funny, you know? So, but it's also this sense of like where you give yourself this structure and you just sort of like fill it in, but it is this sort of like humorous, almost like catch, like, you know, the kicker kind of thing of like a formula with your paintings. And I was wondering if you could like talk a little bit more about that.
I think it's ADHD.
Yeah.
Is this on?
Yeah, it's on.
I don't know. What's the question?
Well, no, I mean, I could see like, well, what I would also say is like, I've known you for a long time, and I also feel like one of the things I like about talking about art with you and about your work, but also about work in general, is that you're extremely transparent. Like, it's just like very you, unfiltered, right?
Right.
It's kind of like, I feel like how you go through life.
Yeah.
Probably many of the people here also know this about you.
Yeah.
So like, I don't ever really think that you're necessarily coming up with some uber conscious, like, conceptual hinge.
Right.
But you do use these sort of like formats to get yourself kind of in the zone of painting.
Well, it's so hard for me to come up with something that I want to paint
Yeah.
that if I do it, I'll
Every
often
time.
just say, this is my template now for the next
Right.
year. I'm just going to do that. And then I'm like really happy for a year. And then when I start again, I'm sort of stressed out trying to figure out another thing. You know what I mean? Doesn't that sound like a mental problem, like ADHD?
I feel like it sounds like a mental solution.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
I
good.
think that sounds
Yes.
like you're problem solving your way through life.
Thank you.
But I also wanted to talk about another thing that I like about the work is that there's an open-ended, like, not just vulnerability, but like you dive into things that are like pathetic and meaningless, right? But
Yeah.
like as like a move. It's almost like a strategic move, because it's like going to be so pathetic or like dive so into this meaninglessness that you almost like can't even call it out. It's like, well, that's just funny. You know what I mean?
I came from a time, it used to be like around the year 2000 or the late 90s, the way people would talk about figurative painting is it had to be a little bit embarrassing and revealing in order to be good. Like, that is not true anymore. It's probably people are the exact opposite now, I think. It's got to be maybe sleek and
like stoic or
finished. I don't know, but not, you would never put, it just feels like a more recent generation would never really put themselves on the line a little bit in that way, I think. I'm generalizing, but it's kind of the vibe now. And so I just come from a time when that's what
you did.
That's what people said. Maybe I'm the only one that actually did it. And I was like,
Well, when I think about your work, I do think a lot about vulnerability. It's almost like what's funny, sometimes it's funny to me that you paint, because a lot of the times I think about the vulnerability or the like narrative arc of a performance artist, or even like a stand-up comic a little bit. You know what I mean? So,
well, I did start like some of the first paintings I made that felt like kind of mature work, which they weren't, but at the time, for me, they were in the mid-90s, was like, I thought of them like performances, like I would stand a board up on the end, and as it was falling over, I'd take a picture, and it was like blurry and fall. It was like the billiard paintings, which are from photos I took, and I thought of them as like painting a performance or like documenting a performance and painting. So I get what you're saying. Yeah, it came from that kind of a little bit performance, and I've always fantasized about doing stand-up comedy.
Well, and it's also like, it's a bit like, I also wanted to ask about your relationship to like comics or cartoons, because sometimes they almost have that kind of a feel, not just formally, but also in terms of like that like kind of storyboarding kind of element a little bit.
Right.
I don't know if that's a conscious
Well, it was
connection
at
for
some
you.
point because
Yeah.
I would do paintings that were kind of more like New Yorker illustration, New Yorker cover
Oh, yeah, yeah,
illustrations, which did like tell a story in one frame, or maybe there was a punchline. It was like the last frame of a comic where there was the punchline. So kind of, yeah.
Yeah, and also like even the zippers. I don't know, I think another thing that is also cool about the way you practice is your ability to like try things that you think might be dumb and like really commit to the joke. Like with the zipper things, I feel like anytime I've talked to you about them, you're always like, I don't know if they're good, but it's like you're just here for it.
Well, I never know what's going to be good. I'll think something's going to be good and it's not, and vice versa. So I have to do it to find out. It's painful. I'm not even joking.
What's painful about it? The amount of time it takes to figure it out, or
Fear.
what? The fear.
And yeah, time, it's like, God, is this a complete waste of time? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Do you ever get embarrassed while you're making your work?
I think if I did, I wouldn't have made those saddle paintings.
Yeah.
I was embarrassed.
Well, because I was gonna ask.
I was embarrassed showing them.
Because sometimes, all right. Well, sometimes not to bring it to me, but like sometimes when I make work, like I even feel embarrassed while I'm making the work. Like when I'm like, this is cringe.
Yeah,
But like
I
you
guess
gotta
so,
go
yeah.
through the cringe. Do you know what I mean? But then
Yeah.
there's different levels of embarrassment, right? There's the embarrassment of you alone in your studio thinking about, like in a self-conscious way or a socially conscious way, is this at one point going to be looked at, therefore embarrassing? Then there's the embarrassment of actually presenting it to other people. Then there are all these little mini leaps of sort of
Yeah.
social faith that you're
But
taking in a way.
I have both to some degree, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
But you just take the plunge anyway.
Usually, but sometimes I'm too afraid, yeah.
But so you talked about comedy, like do you ever think about comics? Like who's the big comic that I'm like thinking of is like, Kaufman, like
Andy Kaufman?
Yeah.
He's not funny, but I really admire him.
You know what? I
I know
remember
you're
Andy
supposed to like
Milonakis.
him because he's so cool, but he's literally not funny. And like that hamburger guy, also not funny. Hamburger Neil, what? Mark, who's the hamburger guy? Not funny, but people love that guy. Yeah. Anyway, no, I don't know.
Do you ever think about stand-up comedy when you're getting inspired? Because you do take in a lot of outside influences, right? Music, pasta.
That's it. It's a short list. I don't know. Not really.
Advertisement, fashion, sexy
Yeah.
advertisement.
I think about humor, but not stand-up
humor, but
comics.
not like comics. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's turn it over. Does anyone have any questions? It's an open
Yes,
book.
stranger that I don't know.
Is there anything else you could say about making the switch away from photorealistic painting? Like, did you get bored of that?
Well, I made two things at once. You know, the mimes and the self-portrait with the tree, and they both got put in this show, but the self-portrait with the tree got put on all the banners around the city. And I thought that was really cool. So I just started doing those. There's not time to do everything, you know. But I've been dipping back into the photorealism lately. So we'll see. Maybe it'll come back for me. Yes, Mark?
Russell Ferguson curated that show?
Yeah.
What did he say about that painting? Just out of curiosity.
Which one? The mime or the other one?
The tree.
He put it in as an afterthought.
But did he write about it? Did he get written about?
Every painting in the show is written about. It was like an awesome show. It was like Peter Doig, Lucy Mackenzie, Fairfield Porter Richter. It was like I was like the biggest like nobody in the show, but I was hanging next to these amazing people. It was really cool. I don't remember what he said about that painting. I have no idea.
Do you see similarity between that painting and the piano paintings? About like kind of like you're stuck in the work, or you're not stuck?
God, I didn't, but yeah, now I do. Thanks, Mark. That's very insightful. Alana, what?
I was thinking how the billiard paintings with the hand and the piano paintings are basically the exact same.
That's true too, yeah.
It's like a hand with movement.
I did think about that when I was putting these together. That was the first time it ever occurred to me.
Do you think that, I kind of think like the hand, just the hand is actually like moving away from vulnerability because there's no face. But I don't know if you were thinking
Maybe,
about
yeah.
sentimentality and vulnerability, like what in grad school and like what.
It just has come and gone depending on like what I'm experiencing personally, I think.
Yeah.
But like the saddle paintings, their faces are off the edge.
Yeah.
And it's just too weird to have their face in the painting because it's already something weird happening. And then just what expression would they have in that scenario? You know, I don't know. Yeah.
And if the other guys are wearing helmets.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been reluctant to put face. It just has so much gravity, and you just start interpreting it when you see this face. Yeah. Yeah.
I enjoyed your stylistic fluidity. Like I felt like, even going from the meme painting to mime paintings to like the tree painting, and then sometimes it looks a little like Alex Katz, sometimes it's Matisse, so like I feel like there's a lot of market pressure to like have a style, whatever. So I'm curious, like having had like kind of multiple roller coaster rides, it sounds like, what has been your experience around that?
It doesn't help. Yeah, I don't recommend it. It's all I can do. It's just my curiosity leads me here and there. You got to follow that, right?
But do you feel like there's like a way to use your narrative to kind of like connect? Because I feel like you did.
I see a thread with most of it now, looking back. But every time I switch it up, I'm like, I fret a lot about it because it feels crazy. It's like, would anyone know that this is even the same artist, But now it looks all pretty connected to me, for the most part, I guess, except for those weird jackets. Yeah.
The sizes that you work with are really interesting. You pick a large size is what you feel comfortable with. But
Yeah.
it's very much, it brings you right into the painting. It brings the
Yeah.
painting into it. I noticed that especially when you said the pathetic peak, when you had the clowns and there was a dark doorway on one side and there was some foreground. And I could see it was large. And I could see somebody in a gallery walking into it.
Yeah. Yeah, they have to buy it if they scratch it. That's what I'm going for. I don't remember how I started working so big, but I think it's easier. It's harder to make a big painting than to make a little one, but in terms of like painting something, you can get the details more if it's larger. It might have something to do with that. Or maybe I just like the people to be actual size. I think is part of it too. Yeah.
It brings you into it. It becomes
Yeah.
really part of your environment.
Yeah.
It becomes
I used to think about that for sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You did say that your process was painful. Can you elaborate on that?
I just mean I have a lot of anxiety when I'm trying to think of something new to paint. Some of these ideas are so embarrassing that it's a little bit anxious to go through with them, So, and then if you don't have any ideas, that makes you anxious too. Like I'd love to be a painter that just always just, the next painting is the one that just followed the last painting. But I've just never been like that.
Do you think there are painters that like don't have latent anxiety about their next?
Definitely. Oh yeah. I'm not going to name any names, but some painters are, yeah, they're just, every painting looks the same, and I think that's must be really relaxing in a sense. You just think about color. Dave.
When you were talking about the record paintings, you talked about like how they were free of the burden of interpretation.
Yeah.
And then just now when you were talking about the faces being like how if you started seeing faces, then you would interpret them. And
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, is that your burden of interpreting what you're doing, or is that the viewer's burden, or both? And why is that like a pejorative?
I guess I just am, if I'm making a painting of a person, I'm just thinking, well, what are they doing? What does it mean? And then if I can eliminate their face, for instance, it just seems like you're not thinking about where they're looking, or it just takes out some of those anecdotes that might lead to a narrative. It's my burden. I always have said I wish I was an abstract painter where there was no overt meaning at all, you know. I don't know. Claire.
At what point in your process do you feel like it's time to work in Photoshop? And how, I just feel like you have a very genuine like relationship with Photoshop more than other artists or designers that I know.
I love Photoshop, but it's also, at every point, I'm ready to sit down and procrastinate in Photoshop. I really have to make myself not do it. Like, it takes a lot of effort to say, wait, you're just procrastinating now by playing in Photoshop. Like, there is a point when I make the drawing, like on paper, I would photograph it and bring in the Photoshop and work out the colors. That's the real point for me, most of the time in using Photoshop. Of course, now I'm like changing the scale of some, like, there's practical reasons, but I'll spend weeks like brainstorming in Photoshop or months and then realize I've just been avoiding painting, you know? So, yeah.
I thought the painting of the records is a pretty timely painting now there's a lot you can read into the records flying away, or just the feeling of music.
Oh, right. Timely for me, you mean?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
not, throwing a bunch of records, it's like notes.
Yeah.
I thought they were pretty cool series.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. Maybe I'll make more.
As a record watcher, or
Oh.
record player user.
Oh, you are? There's another one right here. Right.
In the old days.
Right. One more question from Mungo.
So, the process of coming up with a project is painful, but once you're painting, is it so quick? Or is that where you get lost in it and have fun?
Hopefully get lost and have fun, but sometimes I have anxiety until one is successful. And then I'm just happy. I mean, happiness is not you don't have to be happy to make good art. Like that's not important. But
It seems like there has to be some joy or pleasure to keep you coming back to it.
for me, I guess so. Yeah, totally. It's color usually, in the end. Thank you guys so much for coming. I really
thanks,
appreciate
everyone.
it.
And we'll be back in a few weeks with Carrie Cook, and you can hassle her. She's right there. So
Do it now.
make sure to just hop up here. Make sure to come back, and then we'll be starting again in the spring. So thank you all again for coming.
Thanks, you guys.